Welcome back, guys. This is going to be One Piece chapter 957 Ultimate. And you know what? I already read ahead, and I've got to say, this chapter is definitely the ultimate chapter. And in terms of bounty, anyway, the reveals on this were amazing. And yeah, Oda kind of set our exceptions low and just completely blew him out the water, and it was amazing. Now we know how much end game, bounties are, and just so much lore that was introduced in this as well. So I thought it was quite really good actually, and all the information that was leaked was amazing. Just so much juice came out of this chapter. This has got to be one of the best chapters that we've had in years. In terms of like key story plots and information. So it starts off with what do you call it, Fujitora and Alkainu actually having a conversation, and it goes something along the lines of Alkainu kind of being like, "Oh, so you finally got your way then, Fujitora." So yeah, I guess it was kind of awkward because he was kind of locked out of what do you call it, HQ, wasn't he? To be honest, and he finally got his way. So I guess now those two are kind of cool with each other because Fujitora got what he wanted, so he's not going to rebel against Alkainu again. But judging from where Fujitora is, he's just sat on a boat, and it what looks to be like the Calm Belt because there's a lot of Sea Kings there. And yeah, we got this close up of Alkainu's face, and he's always got a cigarette, man. This guy is a chain smoker, and he says this pretty cool, pretty badass phrase actually. When the rain of disaster comes, they pour. So that was pretty crazy. And then the thing is with this is we got Garp spilling the beans on something that's meant to be kind of secretive, and just spilling the beans to all these marine officers because he actually knows this information. And what I thought was pretty crazy is he talks about rocks, right? And we've heard about rocks before, but what surprised me the most was Whitebeard was part of rocks. That sounds crazy to me because I don't know. It kind of ruins Whitebeard's reputation a bit because I never assumed that he would be part of this crew. Because I always see him as his own man. But yeah. So that was really shocking that Whitebeard was in this crew, and three of the four Yonkos, well, one is ex Yonkos, were all part of this crew. So this crew must have been ridiculously strong, and Big Mom and Kaido, were back when they were younger, and especially Whitebeard. But then it kind of makes sense because I don't know if it was anime only, but when I watched the anime in what do you call it? In the Great War arc, I'll call it that. When Whitebeard shows up, we see a flashback on him of him as a young guy on a different boat. So we did know that he was a member of someone's crew before he made his own crew. So would have thought that it would have been the Rocks Pirates crew. So that was pretty crazy. And then yeah, so we just got Sengoku telling everyone the beans, and I gotta say, I really appreciate that he told the beans. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. So yeah, the rocks. His aim was to become the king of the world, pirate king. Same kind of thing, and they were really infamous. And then there was like the event called the God Valley on God Valley, right? 38 years ago, and that's when this is what was quite surprising because we've heard that Garb beat rocks, right? So this is how he became the hero of the Marines and why he has the reputation he has now. Because that's where he beat, he killed the Rocks. Actually, it's not even beat. That's where he died. But what people don't know is that he had to team up with no other than Gold D. Roger. So who would have thought that? I guess that's why the world government would want to keep that in the wraps because, just because of how infamous Goldie Roger is, and they wouldn't like the idea and information leaking out that Garp had to team up with them. Marines and pirates together. No, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, that incident was called um, God Valley incident. So that was pretty crazy, to say. And what else? We also learned why Sengoku never why he never rose up the ranks more than vice admiral. It's because I mean we kind of already knew this information, but it's set in it's made crystal clear why. It's because he doesn't really like the celestial dragons, and because that's kind of his moral code, that he doesn't really care about them. And the reason why he refused the rank of admiral was because if he became an admiral, he would be under their control more closely and under their thumb. That's what they use. So yeah, that's kind of why the reason why he never became an admiral in the first place, which would make sense considering how he was at his peak and he was still a vice admiral. So yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. So I quite enjoy what Garb said. But what's interesting is the name of the Rocks captain is called Rocks D Zebek, and we see the silhouette of him, right? And this guy just gives me complete Blackbeard vibes, like Blackbeard. Like this guy has Blackbeard all written all over him, and the fact that he's got the D in his name as well, kind of shows a massive parallel between Luffy and Blackbeard, because Luffy and Blackbeard are both D's, and Luffy's pirate mortal enemy is Blackbeard, who is also another D. And then we've got Roger, Goldie Roger, who's meant to be the parallel to Luffy, and apparently Rox D Zebek was, as stated, he was the one of the pirates. Wait, no, wait, no, actually, that's the wrong line. I'm reading the wrong line. Wait, give me a minute. Let me find that line. hmm Oh my god, where is it? I can't really seem to find it. Okay, yeah, oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, so Garp says himself he was Roger's first and greatest enemy. So because we always assumed that Whitebeard was always Goldie Roger's ultimate rival to become the Pirate King, stuff like that. But no, Roger Roger never saw Black Whitebeard as a threat at all, to be honest. And the one he really saw as a threat was definitely Rox D Zebek. So that's kind of hypes him up a little bit and puts into puts into reality just how strong this guy must have been and how dangerous he must have been. You know, this guy must have been so dangerous that Garp had to team up with Goldie Roger to beat him. And plus Goldie Roger had to team up with Garp to beat this guy. Says a lot about how strong this guy was and how much of a threat he was to the world. And so that's why I'm saying he has Blackbeard vibes written all over it. That's just the kind of vibe I'm getting, to be honest. And then so that was the first half of the chapter, and then next we just get bounties after bounties. But this was so deceiving, it's so deceiving, because he's like, okay, so we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about that they were like, oh, we need to reevaluate the Shibukai's bounties because they are no longer, the system is no longer there and it's collapsed. But so I was expecting to see, the seven warlords as bounties, but no, we were like, oh, first let's talk about the Yonkos, and I'm like, yo, oh my goodness. So we finally got what end game bounties are going to look like. So we got Marshall D teaches 2.2 billion, which makes sense because he's still like a fresh Yonko. So yeah, that makes sense, But so in terms of bounty level, he's only he's slightly above Luffy in the 2.2 million billion, I mean. So then we got Shanks next, and turns out they first said he's only been a Yongo for a little bit, but then I realized that as well. So we found out Shanks has only been Yonko for 6 years now, so he's kind of up and coming still, fresh, kind of fresh guy. So before, what do you call it? Wait, let me see. So he's been a Yonko for 6 years. So before the time skip, he's only been Yonko for 4 years. So when Luffy met him when he was younger, he definitely wasn't a Yonko there because he was just making an upstart, which would make sense because he wasn't very strong then. That's kind of why he lost his arm. You know, that kind of makes sense in a way, because if he was Yonko level when Luffy was still a kid, I don't think he would have lost an arm so easily. You know what I mean? He would have beat that that's what do you call it? That Sea King, that mini Sea King would not been able to withstand Shanks's pressure like nowadays, where people just faint left, right, and center, stuff like that. So Shanks has 4 billion. So that just shows you the gap between where Luffy is and where a real Yonko is. And everyone's shitting himself because of how big Shanks' bounty is. I want to say his wanted poster looks really handsome as well. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. So then we got Big Mom, who's only slightly higher than Shanks, so 4.3 billion. And then we got Kaido with 4.6 billion. So that's pretty crazy. So yeah, that is pretty crazy. So the Yonko level, yeah. So the average Yonko level is around 4 billion to 5 billion. So in terms of threat, they see Kaido as the most as the biggest threat out of the four. And so yeah, so that kind of I don't know if that kind of confirms. It doesn't actually say anything, but it definitely sees Kaido as the biggest threat to the world government because he has the highest bounty. But yeah, if you compare Luffy's bounty to them, Luffy still has a ways to go, to be honest, because they technically, yeah, technically Kaido's bounty is triple Luffy's bounty, so that is pretty crazy, you know. It just shows that there's still a way to go, and Luffy has a gap. So this is kind of like a power scaling, but we all know that bounties aren't really a good judgment for power. But nevertheless, yeah, we got some Marines getting dizzy at the size of the bounties, and then we also get we also get an extra bonus, which I thought was which wasn't necessary because I would have been satisfied with just the current Yonko's bounty. But no, Oda just he keeps on giving, he keeps on giving. He tells us what Edward Newgate's bounty was. It was 5 billion, and we got Goldie Rogers bounties. Oh my god, why? We didn't need this, but oh my god, I'm so grateful that we got this. We got Goldie Rogers bounty, 5.5 billion. Jeez, man, nice. These two had such big bounties, so it clearly showed that these two were just a level above the current what do you call it? The current Yonko of today, like these two. And geez, man, and I can't imagine what Whitebeard was like in his prime because even in his old weakened state, he still caused quite a havoc. So that is pretty crazy. But the Marines are saying that if these two are gonna collab, then the bounties are gonna go even higher. So are they gonna get to the same level as Goldie Roger and stuff like that? So that would have been pretty crazy. So Goldie Roger and Whitebeard have the highest bounties of any known pirates, and they use the word pirates because let me see. Yes, I think so. In the history of all piracy, no bounties surpass those two. And the reason why he says piracy is because we know from a fact that Dragon has the highest bounty in the world because he's the most wanted man in the world. So because Dragon isn't technically a pirate, he's a revolutionary. So I want to know what his bounty is going to be. That's going to be even crazier to find out. And I'm not saying Dragon is as strong as Goldie Roger ever was. I just think he's a bigger threat because of his motives and goals, which is actually to destroy the world government. So yeah. Mm. And then what do you call it? And then we got Aikano coming in, ruining Sengoku's conversation. And let me see what they say actually. Yeah, so we are not going to see any Marines in Wano, so that's confirmed. So that's kind of disappointing because I think having the Marines that would actually have another dynamic, you know, like a bit of a free for all kind of fight, the Kaido and Big Mom alliance, the Yonko alliance, and we're gonna have the Luffy's alliance against them. So having another player in that would make it quite troublesome and quite messy. But I would like to see how that would end. And then they also reference Kozuki Oden. Yeah. So yeah, and apparently he used to be one of Whitebeard's captains. So that's pretty crazy to say. So if he was one of Whitebeard's captain, that means he must have been quite loyal and quite a high rank in Whitebeard's crew anyway. And it's considering they were rivals, he kind of betrayed them in a sense, and he just ditched them and went on the pirate cape. He just joined Goldie Roger. Yeah, so that's kind of crazy. So apparently, oh my goodness, the Shogun of Wano was a pirate at one time. That's crazy, and he was quite an infamous pirate at that because he was known as one captain. So yeah, so why are so many powerful individuals connected to Wano? I, for one, do not believe it to be a coincidence. And it ends in this chapter, and I've got to say, this chapter was pure amazing. I'm excited just talking about what I witnessed and what transpired in this chapter. So much juice, it's just crazy. I can't believe it, Oh my goodness. And it wasn't even expected, he just dropped it on us but the title definitely suited what this chapter was all about. Ultimate definitely suited the title. But yeah, that was it from me for One Piece, and I've got to say I don't think the next chapter is going to be as good as this. But yeah, amazing, bruh.